Now, in the words of Don Nelson, that was a playoff game.
I need a nap, bro.
Kyle, what's up, man? I got a little housekeeping before we get started. Sitting across from me is Kyle Madsen. Andy Liu is currently stuck in some weird flight delay. He will be joining tomorrow's episode. I wonder if he's was able to watch it in real time or it's going to get ruined for him. But Kyle, you picked quite the game to come on. Let's put it that way.
That's one of those games that if you're trying to follow it on your phone, no chance.
Yeah,
just absolutely no chance. I'm genuinely exhausted. Like I felt like I ran about. I'm sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm breathing hard.
Mm-hmm.
That was tough. But as soon as the ball got into Harrison Barnes' hands, I felt great.
Oh, forever warrior, Harry B. You know, just always once a warrior, always a warrior. Throwing. Let's talk about that last minute first, and let's get into it after that. So, I thought, well, big picture, the first half was infuriating because I feel like they thought they'd won the series after their Game 3 win, and they went back to the same lackadaisical play we saw in the first two games.
Yes.
And then the second half, I saw a team who actually played with playoff intensity. And then that last minute, I was like, oh, they're going to blow this. Because they kind of didn't have the game won, but it was basically like, if you don't turn the ball over and play smart for the last minute, you probably are going to win, right?
Yeah, and they didn't even need a basket. It's just like run the 24 seconds, and the Kings just aren't going to have time.
And instead, I mean, Steph pulls a Chris Webber. I guess if there's a playoff series to pull the Chris Webber, call a timeout when you don't have timeouts, it's Warriors Kings, two teams he played for, most famously. But
if I told you to make a list of the Warriors that were going to do that, Steph doesn't even come up, right?
No.
Like, I guess if you think about it, like he's going to have the ball in his hands and you'd probably, but like, that's a mistake that you don't expect Steph Curry of all people to make. I was shocked.
Yeah. Kerr says, by the way, we got a post-game quote right now. I'm going to pull it up here, but from Kendra Andrews, Kerr says he knew the team didn't have any timeouts, but he forgot to kind of let the team know that. I mean, he's not going to throw Steph under the bus. We know that to be true. Right. But that was also part of the calculus. I mean, Steve burned a timeout with that challenge. And honestly, like, why are you challenging a moving screen? They're not going to call that back. Every screen is illegal in the NBA. Like, if you're going to go letter of the law, everyone's kind of walking the line. You weren't going to get them to overturn that. Like, I understand why Looney's mad. Looney gets away with that screen 99 out of 100 times. But
well, so it looked like Draymond was telling Kerr, like, don't challenge it. He was sliding over. And he was, like you said, letter of the law. If they're going to review that, they're going to go, no, that's a foul.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I thought it was a bad challenge of all the things to challenge. And it wasted their last time out with, I think, 2:24 left in a 3-point game. I don't love that, but it's smart. It's smart by the Kings to double Steph in that spot, like make him make a play. And they executed.
Yeah. And they were doing things like that to Steph all game. I mean, Klay probably dribbled the ball a little too much for my liking today, but a lot of that was like, get the ball out of Steph's hands and make Klay make a play. Klay is not a traditional playmaker. He's more the finisher. So, good defense by the Kings forcing that. And I thought Klay overall, good game in terms of his decision-making there. But, like, there's just no way around it. You're going to get a certain number of what are you thinking there without, like, kicking out a wide open layup and some of those.
That was unbelievable. I couldn't believe he did that. but that's what I mean. That's like you said, that's just not Klay's game. And it was a tough turnover, but I mean, it wasn't the most egregiously bad thing that happened in the game.
And then that final possession, the way De'Aaron Fox was going with the three prior, and like I don't think he's going to miss another All-Star team for a while. I'll put it that way. If people did not know about him, outside of Northern California, he has made himself a national name this series, and he's been terrifying.
So going into this year, I thought he was like kind of a Monte Ellis type. Like he's going to be a really good player, but is he going to lead a title contender? Like
right.
And this playoff series has been illuminating for me. He's just been, and that three he hit on Draymond, like That's good defense.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do in that spot? He contested a three and he railed it. So yeah, De'Aaron Fox has been, the Warriors just don't really have an answer for him, but
they forced him into okay, he's got his shit. He's basically destroyed Looney in the pick and roll, you know? He's just showing
that little mid-range, like 12-foot floater, man. He's just,
man. I mean, he looks like prime Chris Paul, where it's just like, quick step, stop. Oh, if you're not up on me, it's in every time, every time. And then that final possession, he gets Steph on the switch. Steph actually played good defense there.
Dude, clamps.
Yeah, he held him just enough so Draymond could recover, which is all he's going to be asked of there. They weren't going to leave Steph on an island against him. Not with the way Draymond was playing defense that whole game. He makes the right play, and Barnes misses it. Like, I don't,
And then he got over to contest on Barnes.
I mean, I just got a text from a friend of mine who's a Kings fan, and he brings up this point. He goes, Warriors had a wide open shot to win game 1, the Wiggins one that they missed. Kings had that in game 4. Like, you kind of have to feel good about the look you generated for Harrison Barnes if you're the Kings right there.
Yeah.
And so, 2-2. It's probably where it should be, like, all things considered. We can lament the way the Warriors have handled this series, but the Kings have outright won 2 games fair and square. Yeah. There's been one game where the Warriors blew them out, and other than that, it's been pretty much a dogfight the whole way through. And, I think it's going to be going forward. Like, I don't think this is a solved series at all. Nothing the Warriors have done on the road should make anyone feel confident that they're going to go 4 straight automatically. Easily the best series in the playoffs.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
Every game has been good. Even the Warriors won by 17 in game 3, but even that one didn't feel in hand until there was like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
It didn't fit because the Kings can just, they score at such a rate that anything can kind of happen. But yeah, other than that, like, they've all been really good, really exciting games, and the Kings have acquitted themselves really well, I thought. This is where it gets interesting for me now, though. Yeah. Because the Warriors took a punch on the chin, losing the first 2. I didn't think there was a lot of doubt. No, Draymond being out, Gary Payton II being out, that sucks. But they win game 3. You feel really good about the Warriors in game 4.
Yeah.
But now this is where that, like, playoff experience thing comes in, where, okay, now it's the Kings that have taken the punch on the chin, and they just lost a game that they probably feel like they could have won. And now they're going home. Now the pressure's kind of back on them. This is where things get really interesting for me.
Exactly. And we kind of buried the lead, but not really. But Draymond Green. Obviously, the story pregame was him coming off the bench, Kerr saying it was a collaborative effort to decide. If I had to guess, I don't think Draymond ever wants to come off the bench, but he was willing to accept it because the only reason he was coming off of the bench is because he got himself suspended. And if you win by 20 when you're suspended, you kind of have to just take it and accept the fact that we should run the same lineup out there until they basically prove that we should change it.
I actually kind of respect the fact that Draymond didn't, and maybe he did push back and the Warriors told him to go away.
Yeah.
But I kind of respect the fact that, I mean, he was on the bench. He was being active on the bench when he didn't start. He still checked in really early and played a ton of minutes. But I didn't think there was any chance that he was going to be the one to come off the bench. If they were gonna stagger the bigs like that, I thought it'd be Looney off the bench. Yeah. I didn't think there was any shot. And credit to Draymond. He went in and defensively played really well. I'd prefer he not smoke a bunch of layups, but that happens.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, if you'd like to call in, I'm dropping the link in the chat right now. We will be taking callers after a little bit. I think the second thing I want to call out is they started him in the second half, and Draymond was phenomenal. Best 3 of 14 shooting performance I've ever seen. He was phenomenal in the third quarter. De'Aaron Fox had it going, and they put him on De'Aaron Fox, and De'Aaron Fox was quiet for most of the third quarter when the Warriors dug back from, 8 to 10. And then they ended up 7 or 8 at the end of the quarter, something in that range. the run to come back in that game 100% was defense and then just, workman-like offense, which is how the Warriors have always come back in these things. Like Steph is going to get the offense going, and it might be a barrage or it might be like a, 2 here, 3 here, 2 here, and like a little thing. But the consistency, the only way you can dig out is by getting stops.
Yes.
And this Kings team is very tough to defend. Best offense of all time, statistically, whatever you want to say. Draymond showed exactly why he is maybe the best defender of all time. Like he absolutely deserves to be in that conversation. How many guys can anchor a defense as a center and at the same time guard the fastest point guard in the league one-on-one and take him out of the game? I mean, it's just an amazing player.
There's just not that many guys ever doing that. And at the level that he does it, it's not like, yeah, okay, he can defend Sabonis a little bit, but you eventually got to bring a double. Like, no, man, he can do that. And then you're going to throw him on Fox at the point of attack. And that's why he can go 3 for 14 and it's not a disaster,
Yeah.
I don't want to say blown away because we've seen it before from Draymond, but to see him bounce back like that and play through the early tech, and play through some poor offense and come up and be the anchor defensively. Man, the entire game though, to get back to the point about the Warriors kind of grinding their way back into it, it felt like in that fourth quarter and it points to the third quarter, they were like one bucket away from the avalanche coming. But every time they had like a big 3 that was going to blow the roof off, it didn't go down, or they'd miss the layup, or they just couldn't quite like get over that hump where they could really pull away. And I mean, that's one of those things. Like, I think eventually those kind of open shots are going to fall, especially for guys like Steph and Klay.
For sure. And with Draymond, there's always a part of you, which at this stage of his career, you wonder if he can still get to that level. He is 33. Shout out Draymond for matching me with the grays and the beard. He's starting to get them, which is
looks great.
Very dignified, right?
If you're going to be an old head, having the gray and the beard is a must.
But like part of me is always like, can he still do it? De'Aaron Fox is significantly quicker than him. Can he still get there defensively? And, he still can. That's the thing that just impresses me. And I mean, look, no matter how frustrating their offense was, I mean, he smoked a lot of layups. And
so many.
And that's like kind of why they didn't want to play him and Looney together, because it's easy to defend. There's 2 guys who are not really scorers, right?
Yep.
But they needed it for defensive reasons. And, he had 12, 10, and 7. That doesn't really tell the story. Like if you watch the game, he was easily the second best player on the Warriors all night.
Yeah, I think the difference now is you used to feel good about, like you talk about Draymond aging. You used to feel good about him like, okay, hey, first quarter, he's just going to check Fox, and that's what he's going to do. I think now it's like stretches where, okay, fourth quarter, you need to stop. That's the big difference to me, but it's still like he can still get to that level when the Warriors need it. And when you're getting stops at the rate he does, like that's work. Like this is work with me here. That's the equivalent of a layup. Like when you block a Domantas Sabonis shot at the rim, that's taken 2 points, 2 easy points that the Kings have gotten all year off the board. And that's why you just kind of live with the offense. Because eventually he's going to make the layups. Maybe.
Yeah.
He's going to make some of them.
It's like a trade-off thing. It's like, yes, he probably, playing the 2 of them probably makes your offense 10% worse. Statistically, I can pull up the numbers. That's about right. They go from the best offense in the league with 1 big to like, I don't know, 8th to 10th best offense. Like it's still end of the day, if Steph's hitting shots, it doesn't much matter if they have 5 bigs on the floor, Well, no, then they'd get tech for having 6 players, but that's a different issue.
4 bigs.
Yeah, exactly. But it takes your defense from mediocre to maybe best in the league. And that's just kind of the trade-off you have to make. You don't have Andre Iguodala in his prime. You don't have the perfect like 4 switchy wing lineup. Your best lineup involves the 2 bigs who are non-scoring threats, and just trusting the fact that you have the 2 greatest shooters of all time. And Andrew Wiggins is not a slouch, just as a slasher and a shooter. And that's your best 5-man unit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where they're at. I did think it was interesting tonight. Like the Warriors maybe didn't play with a lot of urgency, but Steve Kerr coached with a lot of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Steph playing 43 minutes. Jonathan Kuminga had a 3-minute stint. Moses Moody plays 5. There was not any messing around from Steve Kerr. And I think that's the right move in a game like this. Like you have to shorten the bench. You can't go down 3-1, especially going on the road.
Not at all. Other player I think we haven't talked about, Andrew Wiggins. I thought he played an excellent game, 4 blocks. The Wiggins Draymond tandem defensively, there were a couple possessions where Draymond affected the first guy and the second guy, and then Wiggins comes in from the weak side to get the block or the steal to turn the possession. And it was like, it was like a tandem defensive play. It's like you got the brains and like the length, and he's just so locked in with this team in general. I thought he was everything they needed from tonight.
You and I talked about this on this podcast when he was coming back. It was like, what do you need from him in the playoffs? And this is exactly it. He goes 1 of 2 from 3, 7 of 12 from the field, and he just plays excellent defense. He grabbed 8 boards, and I would like to see more from him getting downhill because I just don't think the Kings have anybody that can stay in front of him. And I would like to see a little bit more from him on that end, but that's kind of what you expect. He hadn't played in 2 months. This is his 4th game back. Right. There's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for him, but I think defensively, I don't think you can ask for a lot more from him right now. He's just been superb.
No, not at all. Other quick hits before we get to the goons here. Klay Thompson. We talked about his ball handling early in the game, obviously more than you're used to seeing, but Klay was pretty instrumental at getting key buckets throughout the game when it felt like the Kings were going on a run, and you just needed someone to get you a couple shots to, slow it down and not get in those 10-0, 14-2, 16-4 type of runs, which like Kings kind of did in the first couple of games. And, they've pretty much done all season, particularly getting to the mid-range all the time. And then I thought defensively, Klay is one of those guys who can't defend the way he did pre-injury, but he can pick his spots and still affect the game. It's still, it's experience. The guys, you're going to have to take it from him. He's one of those guys. Like I will trust him in a big playoff moment because he's been there, and he's not going to get shook by Malik Monk hitting 2 threes and them going on an 8-0 run,
No. And he's going to, like you said, he's going to pick his spots. He's not outside of that turnover that we talked about earlier, where he skipped the layup to throw it to Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like he's just going to make the right play. And did he dribble too much today? Yeah, probably. But there was nothing, especially defensively, that was concerning. Like early in the year, it felt like, oh man, he is a turnstile. He can't guard anybody. This is rough. But we saw it in the finals last year. I thought the moment that swung the finals was Klay in game 4 just started defending Jaylen Brown and could just do it all of a sudden. And that's kind of what it feels like now, where, okay, hey, he's going to be in a spot where can he defend De'Aaron Fox for 45 minutes like he used to? No, but he can do it for a play here and a play there down the stretch in the 4th quarter. And that's ultimately like why you think the Warriors can win this series, because the Kings top to bottom all year were the better team, but hey, close moment in the playoffs. Do you trust Klay Thompson to get a stop or Keegan Murray to get a stop?
Right.
And you're taking Klay Thompson 100 times out of 100.
Yeah. And then that points to the negative for the Warriors, which is, look, man, they rode their guys who have been there the entire game. Steph plays 43 minutes. Wiggins and Thompson and Klay basically a shade under 40. Draymond 31. He would have played 40 if he started. Looney 32. And then it was a drop off from there. I thought Jordan Poole gave him some good, but then he had that turnover in the 4th and a few just mind-boggling plays, just like the quintessential Jordan Poole performance in general for me. Yep. And then everyone else, I mean, even GP2 didn't really get that much run here. Like, I feel like, I don't know how long Steve Kerr can go with this, and maybe it's just a matchup-based thing, but, they threw Kuminga and Moody in there in the 2nd quarter, and it was immediate, like, 8-0 run for the Kings, and they looked completely lost. Dante gave him some better minutes at times, but still wasn't great. Lack of depth is really an issue with, we've talked about the 2 timelines and all that stuff, but it's just like
surviving. It's it's surviving the Steph bench minutes.
Right.
And how can you do that? And I honestly, I think in game 5, they're going to go back to, okay, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, let's see how it goes. But Kerr should have a quick hook right now, man. You can't afford to let those guys, but if they're going to play to a stalemate, if the Warriors are up 2 when Steph goes to the bench and they can play 4 minutes where they just stay up 2, like that's awesome. And you will take that. But like you said, today was GP2 was minus 11 in 7 minutes. Like that's not good. That's tough.
Yeah, and like pregame, Steve Kerr said, we'll see in terms of his minutes. Makes me think, all right, he probably was unable to get out of bed on Thursday because you know how guys are playoff time. Like if he's in any way able to suit up, he will. So it has to be so bad that he won't come into the facility. He was probably still under the weather today. I don't think he was moving particularly well, and I think that's probably where Steve's like, man, if I'm only getting 50% of GP2, I might as well just go somewhere else because we need a little more than that at this point, right?
And you said it. This is matchup based, and I know that the staggering Looney and Draymond stuff worked, and their offense isn't as good when it's both of them. But if GP2 is also on the floor, like that's another guy the Kings don't necessarily have to worry about. And that's where I think this gets really tough for Steve Kerr, because you can't just roll out a bunch of guys and be like, yeah, we're just going to get a ton of stops and that's how this is going to go. Like that's just not the NBA now. And
all right.
It doesn't work like that.
For sure. Okay. So we got 2 days till game 5.
Jeez, I'm so exhausted, bro.
Dude, this series has been awesome.
I'm so sweaty. I'm legitimately sweaty.
I know. Also, like the first spring week in the Bay is probably part of the sweatiness. But yeah. Okay. Give me your prediction the rest of the way, and then we got a lot of callers to get to.
I need to see the Warriors win on the road. Like part of me thinks like, okay, they've kind of figured it out, and this is where the playoff experience comes in, and they're just going to go on the road and they're going to win one because that's it. But all year they haven't been able to do that. And there's been so many times throughout this season that it's felt like, okay, they flipped the switch. Here they are. Here's the Warriors. And then they'll trick that game at home to Minnesota. So I still need to see it. I feel good about where the Warriors are at. But if I'm a Kings fan, you also probably feel pretty good about where the Kings are at, knowing what you know about the Warriors on the road this year. So history's on Golden State's side. So I think you kind of ride with that. But I listened to the last pod, and I'm less confident that the series is over and the Warriors are going to roll now.
Oh, it's a
I'm not there yet.
They're even teams. I feel like the Warriors are figuring it out on the go. I think everyone on this show would agree the best version of the Warriors is better than the best version of the Kings.
Yes.
But I don't know if the Warriors can get to their best version through this series. They're still figuring it out on the go, and making themselves a little vulnerable, inserting guys while throwing in the fact that the Kings are hungry. They have to be the biggest winners of round 1. Like, no matter how this series ends, no one's going to think of them as a joke. Now maybe in 2 years, they'll make the mistakes. They'll be like Kangs all over again. But like, they look like they're on the up and up. You look at the Eastern Conference, everyone's talking about Cleveland all year. Oh, they got Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, Evan Mobley and all that sort of stuff. Well, down 3-1. If I was a betting man, watch it. Yeah. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting the Kings' future over them. A year ago, everyone's like, the Grizzlies, Ja Morant. I'm not even convinced Ja's better than De'Aaron Fox.
Hey, I've never rooted for the Lakers in my life. I want them to lose every time they suit it up. But watching Memphis score 9 points in the first quarter yesterday was one of the most enjoyable basketball experiences I've ever had. That was great.
They need to be humbled just a little bit. I'm not usually that guy. I like some good trash talk.
Totally.
But they're just annoying. They're like the little brother who just, it's like the first time you think it's cute, and then you're like, oh no, you really think you're good. No, just stop.
Right. And the thing, the problem is like talking trash or, Jaren Jackson, whatever. But the fact that it's Dylan Brooks, who, if he left the Grizzlies tomorrow, the Grizzlies would be fine.
Yeah.
That's the part that bugs me. Like, Draymond talks all that shit, but the Warriors aren't the Warriors without Draymond. The Grizzlies are fine without Dylan Brooks.
100%. 100%. And then you like juxtapose to the Kings, who are trying to kill the Warriors with kindness. They're doing the De'Aaron Fox is like, oh, Steph, he's the best player, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just like
Draymond's the best defensive anchor in the league.
Yeah. You could just see it's like, smart man. He's just gonna give him compliments and then go drop 40 on them instead of like, acting like a C-list WWE heel,
Right. Yeah.
All right, we got some callers. We got a lot of people here, so I want to get this moving. We're gonna start with the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Meekus. Meekus, what's up, my man?
Yo, folks, how we doing?
Hell yeah.
Good. What are we drinking?
We're drinking vodka soda with not a lime because we're at home.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I mean, as always, it's
a
vodka soda. But
Chardonnay.
We did celebratory vodka shots when they won. She was on her knees, like praying to literally.
I was not on.
She was praying. No, she was on her knees praying to God above, making sure. And when it was in De'Aaron Fox's hand, I went, ooh, this might be bad. And when it got to Harrison Barnes' hand, I went, ooh, this might be good. This might be good. HB, okay.
I got a question for you, Meekus. All right, so you're on the East Coast. 7 p.m. over there now. At what time did you have to raid the liquor cabinet? What time did the stress hit? And you're like, all right, I need to start.
So our tradition, honestly, when we watch is like we're drinking. At least I am, and she almost always is as well. As like she's great, great partner, just drinking along with me. But we're pouring a drink from tip off. We're going, we're not starting drinking when we're getting stressed because like the thing is the stress begins 30 minutes before the game starts, and then we are going the whole way. At halftime when we were down 4, I looked at her calmly and I was like, oh. They're winning the series. Like, they're going to win this game by 10 points. I'm not even worried. And then the third quarter happened, and we agreed this is, like, no problem. And then in the fourth quarter, we were pouring some nervous drinks. Like, I was finishing those drinks way faster than they needed to be going. When they got up 5, though, I was, like, smacking my chest like I was in the WWE. I was like, oh, this series is over. I was firing off the tweets. I knew I was like, series is done. And after that step timeout, her and I were like, okay. And then they hit the 3. She's praying to Jesus Christ. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, oh, they're about to lose this game, aren't they? Like, this dynasty is about to be done. And as soon as Harrison Barnes had the ball in his hand, I went, okay, Warriors at 6, baby. Like, Warriors at fucking 6. Like, I knew. You
okay, Meekus, before I get you out of here, are you still confident in Warriors in 6, or did this game give you a little trepidation? They do have to go to Sacramento on Wednesday.
Yeah, and going to Sacramento, like, am I supposed to be scared of the Sacramento Kings?
I'm not telling you what to be in. Are you scared of the Sacramento Kings, Sam? I did not say I was. I just, part of me thinks this.
I'm scared of how the Warriors have played on the road. That's my concern.
So here, game 1, that's a game they should have won, and I know this to be true. I feel it in my bones. That's a game they should have won. Game 2, they even had a shot to win that game. They blew both of those games. The Kings had their best shots, and I think we would both agree the Kings had game 3, no Draymond, no Gary Payton in the second. They don't win that game. I was like, if they don't win this game, the series is over. They lost badly. And I went, you know what? It was a blowout. Okay, they didn't show up. It happens. Game 4, they had the ball, 10 seconds to go, down 1. They didn't win that game. They had to win these fucking games because you're not going to get these opportunities again. It's that famous, like, you come for the king, you best not miss saying. Like, that's the reality. They had their shots. They were handed to them on a silver fucking platter, and they didn't win. They fucking folded. I feel in my bones the Warriors are going to win a 7 to 9 point game in game 5, and then game 6 is going to be about a 15 to 16 point win. Like the Kings are like I just know the fucking pulse of this team. The reality of the situation is these guys have too much. They got too much metal. The Kings don't have any of that metal. The player with the most metal on their team is Harrison Barnes. That's all we need to know. That's all right,
Meekus, appreciate you. Have a great evening. Oh,
okay. Shout out to my man for getting that. My folks and I do tequila shots. Okay. That's our pregame and halftime tequila shots. That's our vibe.
Nice.
And post game, but I didn't want to do a third one and then I have to come up to podcast. So
you could. I trust you. All right, let's keep moving. Oh, special guest.
Yo,
Kiana, what's up, man?
What up? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
For sure. Okay, what a game, guys. What a game. I honestly think the Warriors should have won that game by even more. I really don't think it should have been that close. I mean, I feel like every single time we were close to blowing that game open, it was a turnover, which is like the story of the season, or like a smoked layup. I feel like every starter smoked a layup in this game.
Yeah.
And so that was the really frustrating part. And then, the questions are like, can this team win on the road? And I think this is probably going to be the biggest test of the whole postseason if we have a big run. I think if the Warriors can just get one on the road and prove to themselves, like, yeah, we can easily snag one on the road any series. We're great on our home floor. I can see them making another run all the way.
Nice. So you think if they get through the Kings, you're feeling fairly confident about their chances to go all the way?
Yeah, I honestly think this would be like the biggest test. I feel like they match up well against the Lakers when they're at full health. And then when it comes down to the Suns and the Nuggets, one of those two, I just feel like at the end of the day, the Warriors got that experience, and these are the moments where that experience pays off. And if they can get that one against Sacramento, this is a hell of a series, I think they can go all the way.
Appreciate the call, man.
Of course,
I agree. Yeah, thanks. I agree. If they win Game 5, if they go into Golden One Center and win like not necessarily handily, but just kind of control the game.
Yeah,
I think it's a wrap in 6.
I agree.
That's
with
a
you.
tough punch to take, man.
I think for them to win in Game 5, it needs to be a Wiggins game. He's played well after he knocked off the rust. I think he's had a good series, but we haven't had that, stamp like I'm going to take over the game. Game 5 he had that against Dallas. He had it against Boston. He's capable of it. The farther a series goes, the more it's like, what if we have 3 guys on Steph? What if we put all of our guys on Steph? And then that's where Wiggins
like whole plane out of the box.
And then that's where Wiggins at some point, comes out. He's like, I'm just going to dunk all over you.
Well, that's what I'm surprised he hasn't done that yet. Because every time he puts the ball on the deck, the Kings literally don't have a player that can hang with him. Like they don't. And so I would like, give me one of those games where he scores 28 and pulls down 9 boards and rails a couple of big threes.
Yeah. And has like the key moments in the fourth quarter when, it's like, it's in the balance and the shot feels bigger than other shots. So like, we all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Before we get to our next callers, I have a little audio I want to play from Draymond Green discussing the final possession here.
Everything that is at stake was at stake. What are you thinking when the ball gets swung to Barnes and he rises up 3 for the win?
You got to make that. That's what it is. We know Fox can make a shot. He won Clutch Player of the Year. So what I'm doing is giving him an ISO with anyone and just watching him work and living with that. We're not going to live with that. We know that. You got to make somebody else beat you. If he hit it, great shot. If he didn't, whether he hit it or not, it's the right thing.
Did you see this smirk when you said you got to make that? Right here? Right here? My guy still harboring resentment 7 years later.
Same. Who's not? Every person listening to this podcast right now celebrated extra because it was Harrison Barnes missing that shot.
Yeah.
Shout out to every single person who felt it in their bones.
I almost feel bad. Look, no, not really. Well, a little part of me, but yeah.
What the hell? Feel bad? Ugh.
All right, let's keep moving. Archie, what's up, man?
Look, I'm just gonna come in hot to piggyback off of Kyle. When me and my wife were watching the game, as soon as Harrison Barnes got the ball, I bust out laughing, and I looked away because I knew the game was over. I was just like, hell no. Like, we've been down this road a million times with Barnes. And thing is, I loved him as a player, the things that he did as far as like as an X factor. But him in the clutch, it's just sometimes it's the most insane experience that you can kind of get. I saw somebody saying that, watching the Warriors game, it goes from I hate this team so much to Steph is him in like a blink of a second. And I feel like Harrison was like the person on the team that kind of embodied that, during the time.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious. It was just funny just watching him take that shot. I was so happy Fox passed the ball. I thought it was, overall it was a good game. There's a lot of things that they can kind of learn from. But as the series goes on, I think Wiggins will just kind of establish himself more. I think we really got to put in perspective that he hasn't played in, X amount of months, and this is only his fourth game back. So all things considered, I think he's coming along fine. The only thing I really wanted to say was the end of the third quarter, the ball movement to get Klay that three. I just thought that was probably the best set play that I've seen all season. And while I don't think the Warriors can necessarily embody that every single game, if they can tap into that just a little bit, it's we're going to get moving.
Agreed. I mean, I feel like this is the story of the team this year. It was a little bit the story last playoffs, but they caught up so much quicker. It's like, with everything that's gone on between injuries and players missing time and the punch and all this stuff, it's just like, can they actually put it all together and all get on the same page? And they're trying to figure it out versus just a significantly better team than Denver round one last year.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that's a little scary because Sacramento knows it. They're exploiting it where they can. But I do think if they can win game 5, they'll close in 6. And I think the confidence can be significantly higher because they know this Kings team feels better than anyone they played in the Western Conference last. I'm not gonna say they're better than Boston, but they're better than that Dallas team. They're definitely better than that Memphis team. They're definitely better than that Denver team.
Yeah, I do think that if anything, this was probably the best overall shot we're going to see from the Kings. Mm-hmm. I do know that they're going to, the role players are going to play better at home, but I think we saw that their best punch tonight. So,
yeah, agreed. I mean, they got Archie, by the way, appreciate the call, but Keegan Murray, rookie, very impressive, by the way.
He was, he was so good.
He looked like a rookie all series. And then tonight, he looked like what I think he's probably going to look like in year 3 or 4, where you're just like, oh, this dude's a borderline all-star, that type of thing.
He hit a couple of threes tonight, like the ones where he's just catching and shooting wide open. Like those were eventually going to. He had a couple on the move tonight that I thought had no chance of going in. And honestly, those are shots I don't think are going to fall the rest of the way. I don't think he's going 5 for 7 from 3 in a game again.
You're going to live with those. He had one coming off of a pin down at the top of the key. I'm like, was he Klay Thompson now? That's what it looked like to me.
That's the exact one I was talking about.
Yeah.
His feet weren't set. He's grabbing and shit. It's like, okay, man, if he's going to knock that down, what are you going to do?
Exactly. And so De'Aaron Fox, 4 for 11 from 3. I didn't realize he took 11 threes. That sounds about right.
He's shooting 34% in the series from 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would have guessed it was 45.
It feels like it. I mean, it feels like when they need a timely one, he always hits it, right?
Yes. That's it. He's hit every big one for them.
I mean, I have nothing negative to say about the way he's played pretty much A+ basketball the entire series. But yeah, no, I mean, Keegan hitting shots, Malik Monk, road game. He'll probably be a little hotter next game. But I mean, they did shoot 40% from 3 finally. They obviously haven't hit their shots from 3 most of this series. And they played the Warriors even from the 3-point line, 14 for 35. The Warriors were 14 for 34. I mean,
wow.
You kind of got to assume in any matchup, the Warriors have to win the 3-point line because they're probably not going to score as many inside just by the nature of their roster. So to win, to match them at the 3-point line and lose the game, that does hurt a little bit.
The Kings took 102 shots tonight. They had 12 offensive boards. And there were a couple of really frustrating ones where it felt like the Warriors got hands on it and then just didn't corral it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just kind of unlucky. But
I was gonna say, while there was a couple that stick in my mind, I was generally happy with the way the Warriors kept them off the offensive glass. But still, 12. It's just like game 1. I want to say it was 16 or something like that, where it just felt like anytime they needed a second chance, they got it. So
yeah,
I don't know. They're the bigger rebounding team. They're gonna get some. Again, 44 to 44 on the glass. I'll take that any day of the week with the Warriors. If they match the Kings on the glass, it should be a win. I'm sure the Kings feel the same way from the 3-point line. If we match them on the 3-point line, we should win. 1-point game. Stupidness on both sides at various points.
Yeah, but I think you said it at the top, and I couldn't agree more. It felt like leaving game one, it was like, damn, that was one the Warriors should have had.
Yeah.
That's a game they should win. And leaving this game, I think the Kings probably feel the same. Although I will say there was the Steph timeout that was bad.
The challenge call was
the challenge
not,
brutal. The turnover with I think it was 2.5 minutes left, where they had the 4-on-5 because Donovan Mitchell had fallen out of bounds and they were trying to throw it to Klay in the corner and Monk stole it and then got it to Mitchell for a layup. If they get it to Klay, Klay's hitting that. There's nobody around. He's standing alone in the corner. He's hitting that. It's an 8-point game. And the Warriors probably pull away from that point, and this one doesn't look as close. And that's the other encouraging thing for me. It's not awesome that the Warriors going to fall apart down the stretch and Sacramento had a chance to win it. Yeah. But I think the feeling is different if the Warriors hit that 3, get a stop, and they wind up winning by, 10 or 11.
Agreed.
And that's one play, one turnover that changes.
This could be another hour, which we're not going to do, but Daniel in the chat says Halliburton is clearly better than Fox. I might have agreed with that a year ago. But
here's the thing. Here's the thing. So I began doing radio in Sacramento 12 years ago. I did a bunch of time with the Kings flagship station, so I've followed them really closely, and I have a lot of friends that are huge fans. And you went to Davis, so same kind of deal. The Kings didn't want to move Halliburton for Sabonis. It's just the Pacers weren't going to take De'Aaron's contract because De'Aaron was not viewed as that kind of player at that point.
No, yeah, I remember when that whole thing went down, Fox felt like just another Kings guy where you're like, yeah, he's talented, but he's in a losing situation. I feel like he's just going to be one of those 20 points on a losing team guys.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get to the next one. Matthew, appreciate you waiting. You're up next. What's up, man?
What's up, guys?
Oh, great setup.
I saw a tweet from friend of the show, Joe Varai. He said that the last stretch was triggering for Dubs fans who have seen the Warriors grab defeat from the jaws of victory all season long. And that's how I felt. I was like, yeah, that's true. I was like, oh, so we're going to lose this game. Fox is just going to hit some BS3. He's going to get to some spot. He'll be covered, but he'll still hit something. But they won. And at the end, I was like, they won, but they should have won by war. I was like, if they lost, I would have been pissed at everybody involved. Like, why did we challenge? Why did Poole throw away turnover, up 5? It's like, there was a lot to be upset with, but then I don't know if I'm the only one who feels like I don't think that win particularly made me feel inspired to say oh, the Warriors have it. But I just feel I just feel like they're still going to win. I just feel like going into Golden One Center, Game 5, they're still going to pick up a dub. I don't know. Maybe it's just, I think it's what everyone said. It's just the history. It feels like Dubs are just going to close it out. Even though the game did not make me feel particularly inspired. But
yeah, I think I'm with you more so than because there's two ways to take it. They finally won a close game on a defensive stand, which is a hallmark of the title years. And that's kind of the thing they've not done all years. How many games this year has it been close at the end and then they get scored on where you're like, oh. Anyway.
Every time.
Yeah. That's
all of the times that happens.
So finally seeing them do that, I can see how it makes you get confidence that they're back. We're back. Dynasty Warriors finally showing that grit defensively. Also, I think I'm with Matthew on this one where it's I don't know, man. They kind of got a little lucky at the end there, and I need to see them win one on the road before I'm there. I will say, and we appreciate the call, Matthew. Personally, if they go into Sacramento in Game 5 and turn it up defensively and win a game like this, I will be all the way in.
Me too.
But I need to see that first.
I'm right there. I get in theory saying, yeah, they're just gonna do it. And sure, but I like we got to see it last year in the first round in Denver. They went and they won a game in Denver. They did the same thing in Dallas. They did the same thing to Memphis and again in the finals. I gotta see it. They won 11 road games, man. Like that's what sticks out in my mind right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to Dylan. Dylan, what's up, man?
Oh, not much, guys. That was a very stressful game. I was like y'all, like everybody else, I was thinking, oh God, they're gonna make some insane three, and then HB got it, and I was like, oh, it's like 2016 all over again. But in reverse, I feel good. One thing we were just discussing in the Discord, which I hadn't really thought about before, but it does, I think the fit's kind of there is Fox really kind of reminds me of like first championship Dwayne Wade, like, young Dwayne Wade when he was on that championship. Now Sabonis is not Shaq, so I think we still got a good chance of closing these guys out. But like, I do think he's going to be a really good player, like especially if he can get his jump shot up just a little bit. Like, I think he's going to be a really good guy. Another thing I just wanted to point out that people are talking about in chat is the series plus minus. Looney's plus 22, Sabonis is negative 37. Wow. Fox is negative 16 and Steph is plus 45. And I know plus minus, especially when you combine a bunch of games, is a little bit bullshit, but it's just like this has been a tight as hell series and Steph is still plus 45. That's insane. So yeah. I just want to point that out. Yeah.
Appreciate it, Dylan. Like if I was to break it down, basically the Sabonis versus Steph minutes are just Warrior win. And then when they get Fox and non-Sabonis lineups attacking non-Steph lineups, that's really where they've made their runs. And their depth kind of shows. Like, I mean, this game, appreciate the call, Dylan, has been kind of the microcosm. They really only played 5.5 or 6 guys in the second half. Because that's all they have at this point. And I don't know if they can run through the playoffs with something like that, but that might need to be what needs to happen for this series, and you hope someone like Dante or GP2 can be better when you get to the next round.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it feels like they're banking on. Like, it's just, I don't want to say panic button. That's not what I'm looking for, but it's just like in case of emergency, break open glass. Here's 45 minutes for Steph and here's 3 minutes for Kuminga and 5 for Moody. And that's just what it's going to be. And I think that's probably the move against an offense as skilled as Sacramento's. Yeah. Also, not a great game from Sabonis tonight.
I mean, he hasn't been good all series. His biggest impact was getting Draymond ejected. We all know that. Yeah. All right, keep moving. Francisco, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? What a shit show. Let's put it this way. We started with the front office making dumb moves. Then Kerr calls that dumb timeout. Then Steph calls that dumb timeout. No, sorry. Kerr challenges that dumb play. Steph with a dumb timeout. But, well, like you said, they finished with a defensive stance. And you're, like you said, you're not that confident in this win. But it was because they missed a play here or a play there. Okay. Right. I think I said in the chat, we had a wide open Klay 3. I think it was going to put us up 8, and also a wide open Steph 3 that before the last 3-pointer that Jones said it was a dagger. It was in and out, and then they missed. So they had the hot shooting night. Okay, they shot well on the road, and we still withstand that. So it's all good, but they are tough, man. This team is really, really hard. I think before the playoffs, Sam, in a preview playoffs, Ty was saying, like, people were saying, "Oh, we missed the Suns," but Ty was saying exactly, "Oh, I think it would be better for us to play the Suns and then the Nuggets. It wouldn't be that stressful in terms of a physical game." And these games are hard. And next series, in case we win, and I think we're all confident we will, the Lakers team will be really, really hard defensively. For hot from 3, the game is over.
We're not ready to go there, but I agree with you.
It's really, they're really hard physically. And we're having to play 45 minutes of Steph. because the games are hard. That will take a toll. But like you said, we're not there yet, man. We just need to We just need to win one road game. If we get the magic back to win one road game per series, we're going 7 every single one of them. So, fuck it.
Yeah. All right, Francisco,
Totally.
appreciate the call. Appreciate the call. We're going to end here with McWalters, the Reverend.
Yo.
What's up, man?
What is up, guys? What a freaking game. Like Kyle said earlier, Harrison Barnes, Lamb wasn't our hero. Harrison Barnes is our true hero. He needs the hero music, my man. And I feel for him because he's had chances in the past and he's a nice guy, but nice guys don't always win. So thank you, Harry V. You're the man as always. But I think next game is going to be real tough. The Kings are going to get way more calls. They got to the line 18 times. They made 83% of their stuff. They made 15. Warriors actually out free-throwed them, which was phenomenal. We can't count on that. We're going to need a lot more solid defense than what we saw today. 70 in the first half, disaster. Almost held them to 50 until that collapse in the second half, which is phenomenal. And that's what you need to do. You need to come out with that effort. And like you were saying before, it needs to be that one big 4 out. And we just go for it. 6 guys, 7 guys, figure it out, grind this out, steal it by 1, and then smack their asses in game 6. That's what's going to happen. Everyone should be pumped up. Everyone should be stoked. Let's go buy some tickets and drown out those fools up with their cowbells. They're still selling those things up there. I'm going up there game 5. This is going to be freaking awesome. Let's all crowd the house up there, guys. All right. Peace out.
Appreciate it, McWalters. Yeah. I think we should end it there. It's always a great way to end it. Yeah.
The one thing that jumps out, and I understand we talked about that turnover by Poole earlier where Klay was open in the corner and they threw it right to Monk. Like, I get that they were a play or two away from maybe rolling in this one, but that's the thing that kind of concerns me a little bit, is just they didn't play with the necessary force, to borrow a phrase. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's like, dude, like, I would like to see them go in and smoke Sacramento at Golden One. Like, just play really well and just dominate a game on the road. And then I'm with you. Like, I'll be all in on this series and any series moving forward.
Agreed. All right, Kyle. Appreciate you stopping by. We'll end it here.
Of course. Anytime, man.